Everybody. My name is Devin Walker. I'm Associate Director for Sport and Fraternity Life. I want to welcome you all to our first Second Sunday Speaker Series, which is a part of this wonderful Student EXP experience that we've created for you this fall in Student Affairs. Want to keep in mind that we're focusing on the Live a Life of Purpose pillar. So the focus of our conversation today is going to be on finding joy, finding your purpose. Without further ado, I want us to get right into our speaker. And real quick, as our speaker is sharing his experiences with you all, please make sure that you throw some questions in the chat. We'll have some time to have him respond to those questions after he speaks. All right, so let's jump in. Our speaker today is Melvin Robert. Melvin is a co-anchor of Your Morning on Spectrum News 1 and host of the Emmy and LA Press Club nominated series, The SoCal Scene. Since joining Spectrum News 1, he has covered some of the biggest local news stories over the last year, including the 2020 Los Angeles civil unrest following the death of George Floyd, the COVID-19 pandemic, 2019 Los Angeles teacher strike, Saugus High School shooting in the Santa Clarita community, the Conception boat fire, and the Ridgecrest earthquake. He has also reported on the passing of George H.W. Bush, rapper Nipsey Hussle, Kobe and Gianna Bryant, Representative John Lewis, the SoCal wildfires, and the tragic Borderline Bar and Grill shooting. A Southern California native, Melvin was born and raised in Inglewood. He's a proud graduate of Loyola High School of Los Angeles and matriculated to Loyola Marymount University, where he earned a BA in English and a master's in educational studies, focused in human development and counseling. Previous stops include the Lip.tv, KTLA 5 Morning News, Good Day LA, The Young Turks, Access Hollywood Live, and The Wendy Williams Show. Prior to his career in television, he spent 11 years as a teacher, counselor, and administrator, serving a broad array of educational needs at both public and private institutions. Melvin's career in education led him to serve the needs of diverse populations from at-risk and severely emotionally and psychologically challenged students to English language learners, minority college students as director of Black Student Services at LMU from 2012 to 2014, and adults within the corporate sector. A lover of people, song, dance, and the arts, Melvin believes that life is more fulfilling when we choose to be happy and let that which we are most passionate about be our compass. And without further ado, we welcome Melvin Robert.
Evan, thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Nice to be with you all in this very COVID-19 manner on Zoom. I'm so honored to get the invitation from Leisha Maddox to be with you all today. I love LMU. It was such a major influence in my life, and there were so many wonderful people there, particularly in the Division of Student Affairs, that really encouraged me and uplifted me and motivated me and inspired me to stay on my purpose and to continue to forge forward and really go after all those things that really set my heart and my soul and my spirit on fire. I mean, one of the big tenets and one of my favorite sayings by St. Ignatius of Loyola is to go forth and set the world on fire. But if you don't know what inflames you, right? If you don't know like what your passion is, if you don't know what, you know, sets you on fire, how are you going to go out there and set the world on fire? And so LMU was in large part responsible for that. And for full disclosure, I actually did not want to go to LMU. I went to Loyola High, grew up in Inglewood, as Devin mentioned, went to Loyola High, really wanted to go, actually, dare I say, to USC. And I did not visit LMU. I was involved, but was just so focused on, I'm going to be here. This wasn't my first choice. I'm going to transfer to USC. I don't really need to get involved in what's happening here at LMU because this is going to be a temporary stop. Well, I tried again to get into USC, and I didn't get in. And so here I was at LMU, took a semester off even, went to SMC, because I was like committed to getting out of LMU and going to USC. And there was an individual in student affairs. I don't know if any of you guys know Jade Smith. She's actually my cousin, and she, at that time, was the director of what's now Student Success, what Leisha does. It used to be called first year programs. And I was her work study student. And I went to, on my little semester off, I went to visit her, and I said, I was kind of just commiserating with her about what in my life was not going right. And she looked at me in a way that only she can deliver information. If any of you out there have experience with Jade, then this affirm that experience. She's straight up, and she was like, well, here's the thing. Like, if you're really happy with yourself, you can be happy anywhere that you go. So it's not really about like going to USC and studying broadcast journalism. This is actually about you. So you need to kind of get with yourself and figure out what's going to bring you to life, what's going to set your soul on fire. And once you figure that out, you can be happy anywhere you go. And I remember sitting there like, dang, you know, I think it really was a defining moment in my life, because I was like, you really just came at me like that? But she did. I was 19 at the time, and she did. And it left me with a lot to think about by way of me and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. When I was a little kid, I used to get in trouble for 3 things. I used to get in trouble for singing. I used to get in trouble for dancing, not being able to keep still. And I used to get in trouble for talking to strangers, because I just love to talk to people. And I could never, I mean, even if you were logging on, you probably saw me like bopping around and I was singing to that Avenue Q song. I just have a great passion for music. I have a passion for singing. I have a passion for, you know, like rhythm and movement and people. Like, I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. I love sharing people's stories. But as a young person, like coming up, I didn't know quite how to do that. My parents were not necessarily artistic people. So my dad and my mom, I had so much energy, they enrolled me in sports. But I'd be on the soccer field and the ball would be coming on the soccer field. My dad would be yelling at me. I'd be twirling and dancing on the soccer field, like anywhere I could. I was like, this is like the Julie Andrews moment in The Sound of Music. You know, when she comes spinning down the hill and she's like, the hills are alive. The hills are alive. I mean, I was like, that's my moment. So I just did it anywhere that I could. And it was just like in me. But it wasn't really until I got older that I realized that no matter what I tried to do in my life, I could never get away from the music, because the music was always in me. Whether it was sports, whether it was, I ran track. I was actually really athletic. I ran track, I ran hurdles. I played tennis, I played basketball, I played all these things. But it was never this overwhelming feeling of joy or that feeling of like contentment and peace. So I know it's hard because we're over, you know, we're connecting digitally now. But I just want to take a beat now. And I want you all to think about that place, that experience, that maybe a moment that you've had, that when you do it and when you engage and interact, you are fully at peace. You are fully at ease, right? And y'all know what I mean, like that moment where it's just like that cool wave comes over you and you're like, ooh, this feels good. Like that yummy, yummy feeling. So let's just take a beat, and I want you to kind of, the first thing that comes to mind, I want you to kind of zero in on that moment, that experience, that place. Yeah. So I would venture to say, I would invite all of you to consider that that place, that moment, that experience, that feeling that overcomes your whole body, that's something that you want to pay attention to, because that is the feeling that you want to have as you move about your life, right? As you move along your trajectory and you know, are spending the rest wherever you are in your collegiate experience, or when you move forward in your life, whether you go to graduate school or you go into the workforce, you want to hang on to that feeling, right? And for everybody, that feeling is going to be different. For me, it's the arts. It's, you know, talking to people like I do on the morning news or hosting my own show. You know, arts and culture is a huge passion of mine. I love singing. I love dancing. I'm, you know, a musical theater guy as well professionally. So those are things that bring me that cool sense of calm, right? But I have friends, and like, I have a friend that loves numbers. He can crunch some numbers. He's like on fire when he's talking about math and numbers and a budget and an Excel spreadsheet, right? I mean, he's like on fire. That's his thing. I have another friend who loves to organize things and loves event planning. I mean, and organization, you know, I'm kind of organized, but not to the degree to which she is, but it just brings her to life. You know, I have other friends, you know, my musical theater friends, it's music. I mean, so whatever it is, right? Everybody, it's going to be different for everybody. But again, pay attention to that. Because as you are moving through your life, that's the thing in that song, in that Avenue Q song that was playing as we were all, you know, kind of waiting for this conversation to begin. The purpose that feeling, it's going to be your gas as you're moving forward, right? You got to know who you are, because if you don't know who you are and why you're here on the planet, then you're going to have a difficult time navigating where you're going to go and why you even want to get there. Yesterday, I had a shoot, and I was interviewing this guy. His name is Jack Cassidy. He's a rock and roll guy from the 1960s. And he was in the band Jefferson Airplane, and then also the band Hot Tuna. I wasn't familiar with with Hot Tuna until I was doing my research for the story yesterday. But I share this with you because this is like hot off the press, because I'm in the middle of talking to him, and he says to me, we're talking about the COVID-19 pandemic, and we were talking about how, live performances, Broadway, concerts, like all those super communal, amazing. I mean, how many of you, like me, love going to a concert, right? So many of those things are in jeopardy right now. And so I asked him, I said, like, here you are doing this digital concert. Are you worried? Are you concerned? And he said, here's the thing. He said that, no. He said, because yes, it's a pause. Yes, basically it's distressing. But the music, right? He goes, that's what's so important to me. He goes, and I want you to hear what I say. He goes, it's important to me. And when you have something in your life that's important to you, because of the importance that it is to you, it never dies. And I was like, that's deep. And I had a moment internally for me. I'm like, ooh, it's that yummy feeling. Like, I love talking to people. I love sharing and hearing people's stories because of how they enrich me. But it was a deeper download, right? Because it's the importance, right? The purpose, the thing, it's that importance. And you have to protect that, everybody, like, for all that it's worth. You have to protect your purpose. You have to protect your calling. There will be people that will think that what you're doing is silly or stupid or question you or don't understand why. It's because it's important. It's important to you, right? It's important to you. And you got to protect it at all costs. My journey to get where I am today was not easy. But I always kept in mind that feel like it was just so important to me. Even in the days, pursuing a career in the arts or film and television there's a lot of rejection. There is just, it can be lonely at times because you're going and putting yourself out there more times than people are saying, yes, they want you, they want to hire you. So if it's not important to you, you will falter and you will not see it through. And, anything in life that's worth anything is worth, there's going to be challenge, right? It's going to require discipline. It's going to require sacrifice. There may be days, along my journey, there was a time where I didn't have any money and I was eating stoneweed crackers from Trader Joe's and dipping them in, this is real talk, honey mustard, a little packet I had from Wendy's because I didn't have any money to eat. But even through that, it was important to me and this was my purpose and I was so clear on it. And when you are very clear about what that purpose is, there's nothing that anybody can say to you. But by the same token, when they do say something to you or when they try to challenge you, right, you have to have that wherewithal within yourself to not allow them to do so. And when things are hard, when they're challenging, like that song said, the purpose is the fuel in your tank. It's the thing that's going to keep projecting and keep pushing you forward. And, when I took that pause, going back to LMU, my time at LMU, when I took that pause, I came back to LMU, I took Jade's advice and I heard her. I'm like, all right, so what do you really like to do? Well, when I was in high school, I was really involved in student council and I was in a theater program and I was a yell leader and I loved, I was the dance coordinator in high school. I was really involved with the freshman retreat. I went to, Loyola High, Jesuit school. They had a big freshman retreat. So I really was like, all right, well, and I love the feeling that I had doing that. So I said, okay, well, I need to join student council. I need to go, I applied to be an O leader. Like I just kind of tapped into the things that I was really passionate about. And, my purpose of really, truly bringing people joy, being present to people, sharing people's stories, uplifting people, motivating people, inspiring people. Those are the things that give me that yummy, feeling of ooh, yeah. That's the thing, right? Like that feels good. I want more of that. And so I think that, that was a big turning point in my life because you know, and Andrea Nemi and I, she was the ASLMU coordinator at the time, in addition to what she did. It was a more of a lean staff than it is today. And we used to have these meetings once a week. We had a weekly meeting. And she really encouraged me. I used to tell her, I want to be on TV and I want to talk to people and I want to inspire people and I want to be like Oprah. And she would always tell me that I could do it. And she would say, you know, you just got to kind of follow that, you know, bliss, you know, follow that piece of yourself that keeps pulling you in that direction, you know. And there were so many people at LMU. And that's the beauty of LMU, is that there's so many wonderful, talented educators and student affairs professionals that are so wonderful about seeing your gift and really meeting you where you are, and then helping you see, ooh, see that thing? Let's extract that thing. And then let's encourage you to pursue that thing, right? And let's push you further and further and further so that that thing, it becomes bigger and better and greater and propels you forward so that you can, you know, go forth and set the world on fire, right? And LMU is, you know, such a meaningful part of my journey. And I think, you know, there are days, even last week I was, sitting on the set in a commercial break, and there was actually a story we did about LMU and the theater program and how they did this Zoom play. If any of you out there are theater majors, go you, because it was really great if you were in that show. And I remember just sitting there while the story was running, and I had this moment about LMU and how, you know, special the educational experience is there, but also just about, you know, the importance of being on your journey. And once you get there, wherever it is that you want to go, the work that you have to do to protect your purpose, right, and to protect your joy doesn't stop. Because even in that place where, you know, you're sitting there on live television, like, you know, I do, there will be people even, you know, in the workplace that might challenge you or not support you or not necessarily agree with how you behave or your personal ethos or your purpose. And so the question then, everybody, is then what? Then what do you do, right? Do you falter, or do you stand steadfast in that purpose, right? In that joy, in that, because it's important to you, right? Because it's important, that little ball, I keep doing this. It's like, this is the ball, the universal symbol for ball of purpose. I'm coining that today. You know that you're holding on to that purpose that you have to protect. Because even when they say something to you or they disagree with how you are, you have to know within yourself, that's my purpose. That response that I said falls in alignment with my purpose, with my joy, with who I am. And if anybody out there that's watching this is thinking like, gosh, like, what if you don't know? Like, what if you don't know what your purpose is? And I know that's why many of you are here today. I would say you got to listen. A big part of this is listening, is really paying attention to yourself and paying attention to, like I said at the beginning, how you feel when you're doing certain things, right? When you have that full body light up, I call it, right? That just overwhelming sense of joy, paying attention and listening. And then if you're, you know, some of you are a religious person, if you're people that are pray, you believe in God or, you know, Abraham or, you know, or the powers of the universe, and just kind of calling out to the spirits and saying, I want more of that. That's what I did. I want more of that. I like how this feels. I want more of that, please. You know, thank you. I'm very grateful for this moment. I want more of that. Or sometimes my prayer was just, I need some clarity, right? I need to know which way to go. I need to know, you know, what my next move might be. But it always, for me, came back to listening, because the peace, right, and the answers comes in the silence. And it comes in those moments where we just kind of surrender ourselves for, you know, we surrender and ask, like, what is it? And then it'll come. And then the next thing is, do you have the courage to take flight? And I'm sure there's some, you know, those of you out there, there's probably something in your heart. There's probably something that you feel that you've thought privately might be your purpose here on this planet. But the question is, do you have the courage to take flight? Because maybe it might be, okay, just because, you know, it might be, hey, I don't know, like I have this thing and it's lighting me up, but I don't know that what would people say if I told them I really wanted to do this, right? What would they say? Or this is so silly, I don't know that I would even make it, or I don't know if I would even be good at it. I'm telling you today that if it is on your heart, and if it is on your spirit, and if it continues to be something that returns to you over and over again, then you owe it to yourself to investigate it and to explore it and to go after it. Truly, you owe it to yourself. I tried to run away from the arts. I had, not everybody, my family is amazing, but artistic careers, parents get nervous about that. They were initially, but it just wouldn't go away. It was like always there. And I tried to like do other things, in my life. Like I was an educator, which one of my proudest accomplishments, but the music was still in me, and it just would always like be there. So I think that for all of you out there, really pay attention to that silence, really pay attention to what comes up. There was many days where I would be sitting with my candle lit, and I would just kind of light my candle, and I would just, that song, Let It Be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be. I would just sing that song. There were days I would be sitting and I would just light the candle and I would sing that song, and I would just like, let it be, like whatever it is that I'm feeling, wherever I am, let it be. And just be quiet and be still, and then see what comes up. And if, like I'm saying, if it bubbles that much, that is the purpose, right? That's that joy that's kind of it's trying to creep out, excuse me. And you got to go after it, and you got to investigate it. Otherwise, it'll just kind of fester there, and it could haunt you for the rest of your life. You don't want to be one of those people. You want to be in that joy. You want to be happy, and you want to be sailing on that purpose. And I know that all of you can do it. So I hope that this was helpful today. And I'm so grateful to be with all of you and to be a Lion. I'm so happy to be in the company of all of you, and that we share this eternal bond of Loyola Marymount University and of being LMU Lions.
That was awesome. And it's also always good to get a tune as well on a late Sunday. So we appreciate singing for us. We want to jump into some questions here. So we have this really awesome question. It looks like it may have a couple parts here. So Ryan has shared with us, is it realistic to pursue a career in the arts while majoring in something I hate? He's put computer science here. Is this counterproductive? How should we prioritize money in the pursuit of our passions?
That's a great question, because money does make the world go round, and money, it's essential. I heard this thing years ago, actually, by my girl Oprah, Mama O, my spiritual mother. And one of the things that she says that you got to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And so that was something that really grounded me and, kind of helped to move me along, because I was in education by day, and that was my day gig. And at night I was auditioning or doing shows. I consulted for a while. I'm like a cat. I've had like literally 15 lives. I consulted for a while so that I could have the freedom and I could have the flexibility. So a lot of it is just, like I said, when you get clear on the purpose. So like if you want to pursue a career in the arts, part of pursuing a career in the arts is having the flexibility to be able to go on auditions, right? Once you get to the point where you get an agent, your agent calls you. Sometimes they call you the day before, sometimes they call you a couple of days before, sometimes they call you that day. I mean, this week on Thursday, my manager called me like at noon, and I had to do a self-tape for a casting that was on Friday, and they needed it by the next day, right? So it just, flexibility is important. So once you get clear about the purpose and you want to pursue a career in the arts, right, then you kind of work backwards. You know that. So if I want to do this career in the arts, and this is important to me, and I'm going to protect this because it's important to me, then my decisions that I'm going to make around that are going to be they have to also be important, right? So, you get your degree in what you get your degree in. If that was maybe something you had to do for mom and dad, that's real. Or maybe it was a passion of yours at the time. That's real too. But sometimes, things change. And if you have this dream and you want to pursue a career in the arts, then once you graduate, if you want to pursue that, then you might want to consider, what you will do for work. And then if you really want to pursue it, perhaps what you do for work is going to need to have some flexibility so that you can go out and investigate and explore that career path, because money's important. You got to pay rent, right? You got to have something, maybe to drive if you'd like to have a car. You want to eat, you know, stone wheat crackers and honey mustard dressing is only good for so long, everybody, right? It's part of it, but you know, you want to be able to take care of yourself, and that's important. You want to be able to take care of yourself. So money is an important part of that. Hope that was helpful.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. And just to remind folks, you can continue to throw questions in the question and answer box there, and we'll be sure to get those questions asked for you. So a question that comes to mind, as you know, in reading the bio, you've got a lot of things that you have done, that you do currently, and in thinking about your purpose, how do you connect your purpose through all of these passions that you have? I think that to give a little context, I was in a conversation where some folks were talking about, you know, do you have one passion, do you have one purpose, or do you have multiple purposes? And the perspectives vary, but it sounds like you have multiple passions, but maybe purpose throughout. So how do you connect all of those?
So one of the things that's a great question. One of the things that I took the time in my moments of silence to come up with a grounding personal mission statement. And that mission statement that I came up with for myself is that I am here to expand the consciousness of the human collective. So that for me is the through line to everything that I do. So I came up, and I would invite everybody to consider doing that, to spend some time and come up with a personal mission statement. So now everything that I do, whether I am sitting on TV, you know, expanding the consciousness of the human collective through information of what's happening in the world, or folks that come on and they're, you know, we're interviewing them, doctors and health experts, or actors and actresses, musicians, right? Maybe their story expands the consciousness of the collective. If it's me acting, doing a musical, the message in that show expands the consciousness of the human collective, because, you know, when you leave a show or a TV show or a movie, you know, if it's something, they give you something to think about, you know, the art moves you. Whether it's dancing, whether it's singing, to expand the consciousness through a story or through a song that I'm singing. So I had to get really clear, and I had people that helped me with this. I started working with a meditation coach about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and that really helped me along my journey, because it used to drive me nuts, to be honest, because this person would always ask me, I would say, because I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that, and they would say, why? And it would drive me nuts. I'm like, why do you keep asking me why? And they said, well, because you need to know, like, you got to be able to stay on the purpose. You got to know why. And then we did this mission statement. So then everything kind of goes back to that why. You know, I want to expand the consciousness of the human collective through A, B, C. So everything that I do falls into that category. And that has really helped me to stay focused and to stay on track, because yes, I do. You're spot on, Devin. I do have like a lot of things that I'm interested in, and that I'm really passionate about. But I'm passionate about, you know, I think the most is expanding the consciousness of the collective, and then how I do that. I have different avenues in which I do that.
I love that. Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about you. You shared an example of just those moments of struggle, right? And we hope to not have to experience that, but I think that, you know, in some journeys in life, you'll find those moments where you are in some struggle, whatever that may be. We know that those moments are very difficult. How did you get through those moments, or how do you get through those moments if you still find yourself in moments of struggle? The struggle doesn't have to look the same way it may have done in the past, right? How did you and how do you get through those moments? I know you mentioned those moments where you center yourself, you sing a song and whatnot, but what else is there that really gets you through?
I'd say faith. Faith is a big thing that gets me through. Meditation is a huge thing that's gotten me through over the last 7 years, like I said. Because look, I mean, life can be tough, and there's challenges, you know, along the way. And one of the things that I learned along the way is, so you hear would hear a lot of conversation about, you just gotta, you know, the discipline of your craft, you know, whether you train in school or you train outside of school, or you get, you know, your bachelor's degree or a master's degree, I mean, around maybe a particular subject. But what I learned is that that's part of it. So part of it is like what you know, like you train and you be your craft, right? But the other part of it is mental toughness. that's the other thing. So as much as you're training, you also got to get your mind right too. And so whatever that is, whether you're somebody that meditates or you pray or you know, whatever it is that you do to be able to get your mind right. Because when you are on that journey and when you are sitting there and you're like, why am I doing this? And everybody's telling you it's silly or it's stupid or, maybe, others, I mean, look, everybody in every business, you might interview for a job and you don't maybe get it. And it's a job you really wanted. And then it just doesn't sync up. You don't get the job. So then what? Do you quit? Or if you really want to be an engineer, you really want to be, let's say, a pilot, or you want to be an accountant or a teacher, or, I mean, you don't get the job at that school, or you don't get the job at that accounting firm. Do you quit? Or do you say, all right, do you allow yourself the grace to go, that sucks, and that does not feel good, and take a beat? And the question is, how do you move yourself through it? I mean, resiliency. Human beings we are designed to be resilient people. And I think that in those moments, you got to just be able to stand up to yourself. My grandmother used to tell me when I was a kid, she used to say, you have to, what you know. You have to be able to defend yourself within yourself. And you got to be able to allow yourself that grace. And in those moments for me, Devin, I mean, I just remember sitting there thinking like, all right, this is important to me. And whenever I would check in with myself and go, do we still want to stay in this? Like, that was a pretty bad blow. I auditioned for the musical The Book of Mormon 8 times and I didn't get the job. And I auditioned for that damn show 8 times and I did not get the job. I like full creative team in LA with everybody, the South Park guys. And this was in 2011 after the Tonys. They had won the Tony and they came to LA. Then I made like the final 7. Then they didn't have any openings in the Broadway company. Then I went to New York and to go on the Broadway national tour. I made the final 10 guys. They were going to pick 7 guys. And I thought, there's no way I will be like one of the 3 guys that doesn't get this job. I didn't get the job. And so you have that moment where you're like, that really is, that's horrible. I mean, I remember I just was like laying in bed like this for like 2 days. Like, this feels horrible. But everything in me was like, all right, just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. Because this is important to me. And there was nothing that anybody could, even though I maybe took pauses or I took breaks and tried to run away from it, it still was like in me. And we all kind of have those things, right? That's like in you, like that passion, that fire. That's like, no matter what even if you try to step left or step right, it's just in you. You could take a break. It's just in you. And it was just always in me. And just to keep going. And like I said, my body, my brain would go, we're not done yet. You got knocked down, but get up, So the mental toughness is really important. I had mantras that I used to move myself through. I had, I am, I will. And I'd be running on the treadmill. I am, I will, I am, I will, I am, I will. I made myself bracelets, gemstones, they stand for different things. And so like I made one that said, I am, I will, or I am. I made one that said, sing. I made one that had like, different things on it to really help to move me forward, just to remind myself of like that purpose and my trajectory. So I did a lot of stuff like that to just keep myself going and keep myself pushing for, I put that bracelet on, to remind myself, like I said, I will. And I would chant that, I will. So mental toughness is a big part of it.
I love that. It really sounds like you just had this, I will do whatever it takes to get to where I'm
Actually, let me see. Let me go grab one of these bracelets and show you guys. It's like live TV. I love it. Okay. So this bracelet, if you guys can see, this one has blue lapis on it. And this blue lapis is for communication. And it says, if you guys can see, it says sing on it. So I would wear this to remind myself to sing and to remind myself of the power of my voice and to use my voice, even if it shakes, but to speak up. This one is the I will bracelet. I made this bracelet, everybody, in 2013, and it has black onyx on it, which is helps kind of deter like bad thoughts or like bullying or deprecation. So I made this. I've had this bracelet since 2013. Every big job that I booked, because I would wear it. I would just wear it and wear it and wear it. And every job I booked, I would wear this bracelet. I wore it on Access Hollywood. I wore it on Wendy Williams. I wore it when I booked KTLA. Like the first day of my show, Your Morning on Spectrum News 1 launched. And it just reminded me of like my power. And it was like a pledge and a commitment to myself. This one, when I came out, I made this one that says the rainbow flag for LGBTQ, IA, and just to remind me of the power and just being who I am. So I'm a big like proponent of, having like a talisman, Native American culture, talisman, like a symbol or like a reminder and like a commitment to yourself to push you forward and just to like remind you of your power and remind you of your goodness and to remind you of like the pledge, that you made. Because mental toughness is a big part of staying on purpose and, having the courage to do that, like I said, and then also to like bring the joy, and shoot, now, I mean, the cool thing about my job now is they let me sing, I dance. I mean, like they let me fully be myself, but if I had not been on that journey and done all that mental work and really like, gone through this series with this meditation coach of like, why do you want to do that? Why? And been clear about my purpose, right? Of expanding the consciousness of the human collective, right? If I wouldn't have done all that work to really get clear and to set a foundation for myself, then you can't defend it. So now I'm like, I sing, I dance, I mean, I'm fully myself, but that's because of the work that I did. And, and it's because, I mean, I tell that story of Jade and I a lot. I used to share with my students over the years because it's so true. If you are happy with yourself, you can be happy anywhere you go. And it helps you to be able to tap into that joy point, right? So that you show up authentically and you show up as all that you are, no matter what room that you're in, no matter who you're talking to. Shoot, whether you're with the Queen of England or, I don't know. I did a story about the gangster gardener, or you with Ron Finley. You know what I mean? Like no matter who you're with, you are fully yourself. And I think that that's important.
Beautiful. And we'll jump to our last question. And you mentioned Jay, so we'll shift back to LMU. What parting thought would you want to leave with our LMU students today?
I would say that whatever it is that in your, and I know I've said this much, but I just want to really hone in on this point, right? Get up close. Whatever it is that you feel, right, in those moments when you're all by yourself or when you're, out doing something, maybe in one of your classes and you're engaged in a really rich discussion in that little personal moment that you just kind of feel like, oh, this feels good. I said that yummy feeling, right? Like when you take a bite out of a cupcake, like I love a good red velvet cupcake. I love cupcakes, right? It's so good. So it's like that like moment. Go pay attention to that. Pay attention to that and do some investigative work around that. Could that be a career for you, right? Some people think, oh, that's just, who really, I was in a conversation a couple of weeks ago and somebody was like, who really goes after their passions? Like people are not really happy. People just work to make money. I was like, well, I mean, that's not certainly what I subscribe to. So it is possible. It is possible to have the life that you imagine. Trust me, it is possible to have the life that you imagined. It is possible. I'm saying it again because it's true. It is possible to have the life that you imagined, right? It's possible for you to go after what you want to do. It takes a lot of courage. It will take sacrifice. It will take discipline, but you can do it if you put your mind to it and if you commit to it, right? There is nothing that is too silly. There is nothing that is, if it's in your heart, if it lights you up, if it brings you joy, it can be yours, whatever it is, And so that's what I would say, have the courage to take flight, have the courage to investigate and just get really grounded and really everybody take a moment, and it might change, but really come up with a mission statement for yourself, right? What do you feel like you're really here to do? What do you feel like you're really here to do? And try to write it down. And then, putz around with it. Maybe you're like, test it out for a couple weeks. It might change in a couple months, right? It might be ever evolving. But hopefully one day you'll block it in and then all of your decisions and all the things that you do, they'll come back. That'll be your guidepost, that particular statement. And you know, take the time to listen to yourself, because you can do what you want to do. I mean, I feel like if I could, you know, if I could do it, and like I said, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And I know that, you know, with hard work and discipline and sacrifice and the mental game, you can all do it too. And reach out, like, if, you know, I don't know, do you do, like, I'm on Instagram @ Melvin Robert, or, you know, if anybody, melvin.robert@charter.com is my email at work. If anybody, you know, I don't know, if anybody has any other questions, or they just want to shoot me an email, or you need some encouragement, you need me to sing you a song, you need me to, you're having a bad day, come on, if I can keep you going, everybody, I'm committed to do that, because it's hard being on the journey of being in college and like trying to figure it out. And look, I know now everybody with all the COVID stuff, and you're doing things digitally, and you don't have the connection, and you're not in the dorm with your friends, or, you know, interacting, or, you know, it's tough. So, you know, if there's any questions that maybe you didn't want to ask here, or you want to just ask me, please don't hesitate to do so. And I sincerely mean that. I really do.
Melvin, we thank you for that word. You definitely dropped a lot of gems for us today. And I definitely hope that the students that have been here in attendance really got everything they expected out of this experience. And I think they have.
I hope so too.
So again, we thank you. If you're on here as an attendee, definitely reach out. Anytime somebody gives you the opportunity to reach out to them for questions, take them up on it. I'm sure there's a lot of information and advice that Melvin can provide for you if you just ask. So again, Melvin, we thank you. We appreciate you coming and speak with our students today. And for all of you, if you're interested in coming to our next speaker series event, we will be having that on the second Sunday of October, October 11th. So please come on, join us. Same time, maybe a different Zoom place, but we definitely can't wait to engage with y'all. Oh, same Zoom place. There it is. There it is. But we look forward to interacting with you all soon. So thank you.